And we saw it in moments in that Fulham game that it was still very, very easy for me watching it for United to be on the attack. And then 5 seconds later, all of a sudden, Fulham have a 3-on-2.
Yeah, like
and Fulham were Fulham weren't clinical, were they? And a better team, I think, would have punished you guys. Is there still real concern that despite having a decent group of players, that Erik ten Hag isn't a good enough coach to achieve what you guys want to achieve this season? Which I agree with you would be best case scenario, 4th place.
Yeah, there's always going to be question marks because of the manner of what happened last year. But I honestly believe that Erik ten Hag is the right man to take Man United forward. I believe that with the right... I believe that
you
the
weren't
right
saying that to TalkSport 2 last season.
Honestly,
that's last season.
Not towards the end.
This is now. I said at Palace, ironically,
why is he
at
the right
4-0,
man?
I thought it was untenable. But actually, with the changes that have been made and the emphasis that's been taken away from Erik ten Hag to actually allow him to just coach and not get involved, Jim Ratcliffe literally just said in an interview, he said he was trying to basically fix the roof plus fix the team as well.
It still sounds like he's director of football. Managerial a player that plays under him. The Lick a player that played under him.
Where's Lenny Oro?
You pay £50 million for an 18-year-old. You pay £50 million for an 18-year-old.
Yeah, instead of 70 million for a 21-year-old who's had one good season in the Prem.
You pay £50 million for an 18-year-old who's injured right now.
Yeah.
That's still
but
old
we
Man
didn't buy him
United.
injured. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
he got injured. So the fact that he got injured... We paid £51 million for a player who's injured right now. So that's what Chelsea spent on players who nobody's heard of.
But hold on a minute. I just need to call you out on a few things because firstly you flip-flopped, which I expected you to do. Last season we were control, alt, delete, rip it all up. We've got the clips, we've all seen it.
Yeah.
So you were very much you wanted him out,
and
you were
season,
hold on. You was out the whole way until you walked in after you'd won a trophy, and you said, can't sack him, got to keep him. You'd gone from it's untenable to he's won you a trophy, it's tenable.
Yeah.
Okay. I still don't think he's the right manager for Manchester United, but I agree. At that point, he's won you another trophy. 2 trophies in 2 seasons. You can't really sack him at that point. Giving him an extension was weird.
When you come 8th, Abby, and you stick the place down the Premier League, you can still sack him.
Okay, but giving him the extra bit of time was a little bit odd.
You didn't say sack Arteta when he finished 8th twice, did you?
How on earth can you
Or was he an outstanding coach then? He was probably because he won an FA Cup and he was such an outstanding coach. You probably said back-to-back 8th is fine. That's probably what you said.
You've had a bad hour and 45
That's
minutes
probably
on
what you
this
said.
show.
That's probably what you would have said.
Arteta
Hold on, you're telling me
improve
someone else can
and
finish
take
8th. So you're telling me someone else can finish 8th twice.
Is not doing that.
And actually,
at
the
Manchester
sample size.
United.
This is the misconception. The sample size is that Erik ten Hag has been here for 2 seasons. He's had one good season when you would have sat here at your desk as a broadcaster. I tell you what a job he's done. He's sorted out Ronaldo. He's sorted out Maguire. He's Man United have finished 6th, and now they've finished 3rd. He's overachieved. Wow, what a good job he's done. And then he's had one bad season, which was absolutely awful, minus goal difference. I'm not sugarcoating that. But what I'm saying to you is, why should he not be afforded the chance to right the wrongs under a whole new footballing structure? The Manchester United that Erik ten Hag walked in to be a part of has been ripped up and changed. Who's to say now, the same way Arsenal sat down and said, let's get a grip of this thing here. Something's going wrong. We're on our 6th or 7th manager. We've been changing ever since Sir Alex Ferguson left the football club. It's been Jose, fantastic CV, won it all, done it all. It's been Louis van Gaal. He's been a good coach. David Moyes.
Ollie.
Do you know what I mean? It's been bad manager or bad decision after bad decision. How about maybe when we look at this thing, how about the institution needs to change and we keep one constant, which is the manager, and change things around him? And what they have done, they haven't given him a contract extension and given him this new deal. What they've done is kept everything the same and not given him many more years more because they don't want to put themselves in a bad position by giving Erik ten Hag a new contract of 3, 4, 5 years. And if it goes bad, but what they have done, what they have done is a good compromise. You need to. We're new, and so are you to us. We're going to back you and show us that actually this is what you can expect from us. So here's your signings, and in return, we expect results. What's wrong with that?
How much did they back him when they met with around 4 different managers to discuss the possibility?
I'll tell you how much. By doing a round of interviews and going, we think you're better than all these candidates.
Okay,
what's wrong with that when you walk into an institution?
Let me stop you right there. Because I completely understand what you're saying from a Manchester United fan's point of view. Yeah. Over the last 3 years, the most successful teams in this country have been Liverpool, City and Arsenal. What those 3 teams have in common, they gave their managers time. So I understand it from your point of view.
Man United mustn't do it.
No. No. I said that I understand from your point of view. Give him time. Even though before the cup final you were saying the position was untenable, but after the cup final you want us to jump to that or leap to that conclusion. What I don't understand are Man United fans crying, saying, "I don't understand why you criticise our manager." When last season, when you lost 4-0 against Crystal Palace on Monday Night Football, you lot were doing the same thing. You lot were saying that he shouldn't be our manager. So why do you expect us, who are not Man United fans, to now be here backing your manager who you didn't want in the first place?
No, I tell you why. One thing about this whole flip-flopping thing is, it takes a real person.
You flip-flop.
It takes a real person. Yeah, I'm talking about me. It takes a real person to sit back and admit you're right. Admit you're wrong, sorry. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
I'm always right.
What's wrong with that? How can you get criticised for taking a step back? Go, actually, you know what? I actually got that wrong, because actually, I can admit, I'm not too big to admit. Maybe not like everyone else around this table. I'm not too big to admit that actually, take a step back. He needs more time. And I'm actually going to say this now, and I've said this before. Regardless of the FA Cup, I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
That is
you can't now. This is what I'm saying. You can't sit there and tell me what I thought in my head. You're not in my head.
Flex.
You're not in my head.
Flex, you do realise we have receipts. We have actual
not.
receipts of you saying it is untenable.
Right.
This is all
but
before.
this is what I'm saying. So I'm allowed to change my mind based on new evidence and me taking a step back.
Yeah,
I'm caught up in the season. 100%.
You are allowed to change your mind, but you're saying regardless of the FA Cup.
Hands. I can't make this any more clearer.
Yeah.
I am holding my hands up and said, actually, you know what? Me as Flex, I did say, you know what? I realised I was actually wrong all along. I realised I was wrong all along without the FA Cup, because what I'm saying to you is this. What I took a step back and realised, and I'm actually being serious now, is here's a guy who, before he came in, me as a Manchester United fan and many others were saying, listen, guys, we've just finished 6th. It's our worst ever, the Ralph Rangnick season and Ollie. We've just finished 6th. We have to ride out for this guy. Like, it's going to take... Man United is a mess. Yeah. Deep-rooted mess. Not enough for one guy to come in and fix it mess. Deep. Do we all agree with that?
Yeah.
The Man United is a systemic mess, right? Sure. So in order for real, tangible change to occur at Manchester United, it cannot just be about one man in a dugout. We've learnt that. So when this new guy called Erik ten Hag comes in, when it gets really bad, when it gets rough, let's stick by him. And I'm holding my hands up. I got roped into the same thing that Man United fans, and what I didn't want to get roped into, I got roped into it. That 4-0 against that team I'm seeing there, Palace, it finished me. I was done. I admit it. I said, rip it up and start again.
You were allowed to get roped in by that.
But I'm also allowed, this is what my point is, I'm also allowed to go, actually, right, I'm a fact. Let me just think about this. He's had one really good season.
And one terrible season.
Awful season. Let's see the third season. Let me see it.
But
we're allowed.
No one's saying that. But what
so
we're
what's the
saying
problem then?
Is you said irrelevant of the FA Cup.
Why is it about me though?
Hold on, because it's what you said.
No,
I'm
but why is
holding
it not
you
about
accountable.
what's best for Man United?
Because I'm talking about what you said. Because
Right,
you're saying
okay.
you didn't say it, and you're flip flopping.
I didn't say I didn't say it.
You said
Yes.
that irrelevant of the FA Cup, he should have stayed. That wasn't what you were saying.
I've
The
just
week
said
of the FA Cup.
I know that,
That
but that's
wasn't
what
what
I've
you
literally
said.
just said. I've literally just said the things I said before. I'm not claiming I'd said
If you
them.
hadn't have won the FA
If you
Cup,
lost that game 2-0, what would have been the case? If you lost that game 2 or 3-0,
would you
This
still
is what
feel
I'm
this
saying,
way?
though. Of course, cups can change the perception. Of course they can, because essentially, last time I checked, they count. They go on a
They do
resume.
count.
They go on a
What's
CV.
Man United's style of
Especially
play?
the FA Cup,
Flex.
right? Before it was a Carabao Cup, we're saying
What's your
that
style of
doesn't really
play?
matter.
What's your style of play?
Pardon?
What's Man United's style of play on that?
Well,
Erik ten Hag?
you can clearly see from goal kicks, we want to be a possession side. We want to build up. We want to dominate teams. It's high transition. It's penning teams in and it's vacating the midfield to suffocate teams and keep them in. Something that really, really worked for him at Ajax. What I do think is happening, and I'll be honest, is that we still don't have the characteristics from certain players to carry that out. I.e., so say you want to play that high pressing style, vacate the midfield and really squash teams in. On the counter-attacking transition, you need a really, really powerful runner, someone who can cover grass, which is why Manchester United, to this moment, are still trying to bring in Manuel Ugarte, or a player of that profile. Someone who understands that position, you can put out fires before they start or once they become ablaze. Casemiro is not that guy. I do agree, getting Mason Mount from you guys for £60 million, although I believe Mason Mount's a good footballer, essentially, it's like the Darwin Núñez thing. He's going to be an expensive squad player, which he's not a bad squad player to have because he can play a variety of positions. He's comfortable on the ball. And actually, against Fulham, when everyone's saying Man United were pony and lucky to win, which is a false narrative, he was everywhere. And I've never seen Manchester United for quite a while, actually, win the ball that quite high up, quite a few times off of Fulham to force turnovers. And that's how we want to play. But we're not doing it because, like you said, we've been derailed last year because most of the players he bought weren't available, plus more, and poor stubborn,
and were terrible,
and poor stubborn mistakes by Erik ten Hag. Where even that's another thing. Our manager's not allowed to learn from rubbish decisions. Since when? Could we not have a redemption arc?
But
Arteta was afforded the same thing to learn from his mistakes. Managers can learn.
Can I jump in? You say a rubbish decision. Manchester United consistently last season over a 9-month period was so easy to play against.
Correct.
And last season, at no point in that season,
he did near the end.
Was there any evidence in the Premier League because you came 8th? And there was that stat around February time that only Burnley and Sheffield United had more shots on the goal apart from Manchester United. But it was consistently week in, week out. And I'm not a tactician here, but it was so easy and obvious to see what Man United were doing wrong, how much space there was in between defence and attack. And Jamie Carragher on a couple of occasions
100%
did really, really good pieces on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
But it just felt like every single week, despite us all seeing it and all watching it, at no point did he ever change. And then he gives interviews and he seems to almost try and tell us it was a good performance. And I just think I completely get Flex if things had to change above Erik ten Hag. Obviously, it's been a mess for a long period of time and things have changed above him. I believe right now Erik ten Hag is at Manchester United not because Ineos think he's the right man to take them forward. I just simply think right now there is not the obvious candidate out there to replace him. And I think what they decided to do is, I think
that's not a bad way of saying that.
No, okay, hear me out.
Better, why would you change it then?
No, hear me out. And I think the first appointment is obviously going to be a big one. And I think they've just thought, let's buy ourselves some time. Let's buy ourselves 6 months, buy ourselves a year. And hopefully in a year's time, things might look a little bit different. Who knows? And that's why that 1-year contract extension was basically telling him, you're not going to be here in a couple of years' time.
Well, it's actually saying, well, prove it. Erik ten Hag's been held accountable, guys. You're missing the whole.
I think you can look
what
at
they haven't done is come in and given him a whole
empty,
new. They haven't given him a whole new contract. You can say it's because they don't believe in him, or you can say it's, well, hang on a minute. You don't just get to finish 8th at Man United.
Okay.
And we're going to take into consideration some of the discrepancies that you had in this team.
Yeah.
If you don't have your whole back four for a whole season, I don't care who you are. In year 2, that's going to affect you.
So what's the premise when you're sitting down with Lenny Euro, you're sitting down with Xerxes, and you're saying, okay, so this guy might be the manager in a year's time, or in a year's time he might be playing under managers that's completely different.
They said he is the manager.
So how do you get the right personnel through the door if you're not even sure?
They've had a good window. This is what my point is.
But our players not specific to the managers they play under. There's certain managers that might in a year's time be like, Xerxes not the striker I want, but he's signed to play under Erik ten Hag. Same to Lick, same to Masraoui. These are all players that he knows already.
But this is the thing about having.
And then you made club signings before.
And this is the thing. Hang on a second. This is the thing.
Yeah.
This is the thing about having the football hierarchy in place right now, because you've got Dan Ashworth, Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, Vivell, etc., etc. Let's look at the players that we've signed. Masraoui is a technical right back, right? He's comfortable with the ball at his feet. And as we've seen against Fulham, by the way, in his debut, he was absolutely fantastic and looks like a really good signing. It only cost £12 million.
Coincidental they go for Ajax, right? Is that a coincidence?
Right, listen, of course there's a partner. Before Erik ten Hag even came to Manchester United wanted De Ligt before he went to Juventus, couldn't get it done. Fact. That is a player that actually at 25 years of age, for that price, is a bargain no matter where he's played. Fact. He's a fantastic player who's lost his way a little bit, might have not hit the height, but he's a top draw centre-half with a point to prove and he's hungry. Lenny Euro is not an Erik ten Hag signing. He was about to go to Real Madrid. You could say you paid £50 million for him, etc., etc. But he was deemed good enough to go to Madrid, and Madrid are going to get this great player. He comes to Man United. Now it's this. Man United walked away after 2 bids for Jared Branthwaite, because they're not going to get the pants pulled down and try and go for 70 million for a player who's older than Euro. We're going to go and get this kid, and we're going to get De Ligt as well. So Manchester United, for a combined package of what? It's 60 million euros. It's under 50. It's about 50 million pounds. They've got a right back and a centre back that can start in the team, and then they've got to pay 50 million for a kid who they believe is the truth, in your words as well, because you think he's a fantastic player. Do not sit there and try to downplay how good you think Lenny Euro is, because Manchester United have got a player on their hands, and do you know what it really is? You don't like it. I've worked it out. What it really is that Man United have got some structure, they've got some people who know what they're doing, and they're starting to make decent decisions. And they win a game against Fulham, which, let's look at the stats, shall we? This is why Manchester United were lucky to win the games. 14 shots and 5 on target. Fulham had 2. We had more possession than them. We had a higher XG than them.
Congratulations for doing that against Fulham.
This time last year, they played us off the park. Harrison Reed was looking like...
That tells you how terrible you were then.
Right, last season. First game of the season, Wolves had about 15 chances on goal. That didn't happen this time when Manchester United won the game with their new signing coming off the bench and scoring. So guess what? Happy days for us. We got our 3 points and we didn't get any injuries. We don't care what the outside has to say. Let us do what we want to do.
You're
and you lot keep making up the noise.
extremely rattled.
And I'm going to shut my laptop.
On AM, on DAB, via the TalkSport app and on your smart speaker. TalkSport.